Good evening, my dear friends. I'm here for our evening read through the Bible together in 2023 scriptures, and we are in the book of Mark and the New Testament for this evening's readings. And I am gonna try to look at the camera as much as I can. I got a new camera, but I can't figure out how to work it, so I'm using the old one. But the old one's not but a year old. It's still a good camera. That new one, I don't have a clue how to do anything with it. I don't even know how to plug it in. I do know how to charge the battery on it, but that's all I figured out so far. Uh, just as I was getting ready to come on here, a good friend here in town called, and there was a murder in their family today, not here, but over in Missouri, St. Louis. So be with her and her family. There's a lot of people hurting, y'all. Just pray for the world. Goodness gracious. A lot of y'all are on my daily prayer list. Well, all of you get prayed for every day, but I know a lot of you have specific prayer requests that you've shared with me, and you're all on my prayer list. And just the whole world needs prayer. The whole world needs Jesus, is what the whole world needs. But I know a lot of y'all have Jesus and you've still got prayer requests, and so do I. We all have prayer requests. And pray for my eye. Can y'all see that? It's as red as it can be. Uh, anyway, just pray for one another and the world. Pray for my friend's brother-in-law, I think's what it is, that was murdered today. That would be horrific. Okay, y'all. Uh, we're picking up in chapter 4 of the book of Mark, and even though I forgot which one of y'all told me I look young and handsome with my glasses on, I'm fixing to look old and unhandsome because I got to take them off to read. I only used them when I was reading on a computer far away or when I'm driving. And reading up close, I can't see nothing with them, so I got to take them off for that. Mark chapter 4. And he began again to teach by the seaside, and there was gathered unto him a great multitude, so that he entered into a ship and sat in the sea. And the whole multitude was by the sea on the land. And I shared at one time, I did research in the past trying to figure out why Jesus would get on a ship in the water to talk to the people who was on the shore. And I shared with y'all, but it's been a while, so I'm going to share again. And I don't know if this is true or not. It kind of makes sense, but I don't know if that's the truth. Anyway, it said when he was on a ship in the water talking to the throng, the crowd, the mob that was on the shore, his voice would carry better over the water than it would if he was standing down at the same level as them with whatever might be between him and them. But his voice carried better being up higher and over the water. So it kind of makes sense. But I was just curious, because several times he did that and made my old bald headed brain wonder why he did it like that. And that's what I found out. All right, let me get started here. And he taught them many things by parables and said unto them in his doctrine, and this is Jesus speaking now, hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow. And it came to pass, as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and the fowls of the air came and devoured it up. And some fell on stony ground, where it had not much earth, and immediately it sprang up, because it had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no fruit. And other fell on good ground, and did yield fruit, that sprang up and increased, and brought forth some 30, and some 60, and some 100. And he said unto them, He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. And when he was alone, they that were about him with the 12 asked of him the parable. And he said unto them, Unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God, but unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables, that seeing they may see, and not perceive, and hearing they may hear, and not understand, lest at any time they should be converted, and their sins should be forgiven them. And he said unto them, Know ye not this parable? How then will ye know all parables? The sower soweth the word, and these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately, and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts. And these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground, who, when they have heard the word, immediately received it with gladness, and have no root in themselves, and so endure but for a time. Afterward, when affliction or persecution ariseth for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. And these are they which are sown among the thorns, such as hear the word. And I have known some like that. And the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and I like that, the deceitfulness of riches. Riches are very deceitful. All right, let me continue. And the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and lust of other things entering in, choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful. I can say bam to that one, y'all. Goodness gracious. And these are they which are sown on good ground, such as hear the word, and receive it, and bring forth fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100-fold. And he said unto them, Is a candle brought to be put under a bushel, or under a bed, and not to be set on a candlestick? For there is nothing hid which shall not be manifested, neither was anything kept secret, but that it should come abroad. If any man have ears to hear, let him hear. And he said unto them, Take heed what ye hear. With what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you, and unto you that hear shall more be given. But he that hath, to him it shall be given, and he that hath not, from him shall be taken even that which he hath. And he said, So is the kingdom of God, as if a man should cast seed into the ground, and should sleep, and rise night and day, and the seed should spring and grow, he knoweth not how. For the earth bringeth forth fruit of herself, first the blade, then the ear, and after that the full corn in the ear. But when the fruit is brought forth, immediately he putteth it in the sickle, because the harvest is come. And he said, Whereunto shall we liken the kingdom of God? Or what comparison shall we compare it? It is like a grain of mustard seed, which when it is sown in the earth is less than all the seeds that be in the earth, but when it is sown, it groweth up and becometh greater than all herbs, and shooteth out great branches, so that the fowls of the air may lodge under the shadow of it. And with many such parables spake he the word unto them as they were able to hear it. But without a parable spake he not unto them, and when they were alone, he expounded all things to his disciples. And the same day, when the evening was come, he said unto them, Let us pass over to the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship, and there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of the wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awake him, and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And Jesus arose and rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was great calm. He is the master over everything, even the wind and the waves, everything, y'all. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not even with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces. Neither could any man tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. And all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Jesus gave them all leave. And the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. There were about 2,000, and were choked in the sea. And they that fed the swine fled and told it in the city and in the country, and they went out to see what it was done that was done. And they came to Jesus and see him that was possessed with the devil, and had the legion sitting and clothed, and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And they that saw it told them how it befell to him that he was possessed with the devil, and also concerning the swine. And they began to pray him to depart out of their coast. And when he was come into the ship, he that had been possessed with the devil prayed him that he might be with him. Howbeit Jesus suffered him not, but saith unto him, Go home to thy friends, and tell them how great things the Lord hath done for thee, and hath had compassion on thee. And the man departed and began to publish in Decapolis how great things Jesus had done for him, and all men did marvel. And when Jesus was passed over again by ship unto the other side, much people gathered unto him, and he was nigh unto the sea. And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name, and when he saw him, he fell at Jesus' feet, and besought him greatly, saying, My little daughter lieth at the point of death. I pray thee, come and lay thy hands on her, that she may be healed, and she shall live. And Jesus went with him, and many people followed him and thronged him. And a certain woman, which had an issue of blood for 12 years, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, there was nothing bettered, but rather grew worse. And when she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind, and touched his garment. For she said, If I may but touch his clothes, I shall be made whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press, and said, Who touched my clothes? And his disciples said unto him, Thou seest the multitude thronging thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me? And he looked round about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him, and told him all the truth. And Jesus said unto her, Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace, and be whole of the plague. Friends, can you see the power of just a little bit of faith? Faith literally can move mountains if you'll just exercise it. While Jesus yet spake, there came from the ruler of the synagogue's house certain which said, Thy daughter is dead. Why troublest thou the master any further? And soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he saith unto the ruler of the synagogue, Be not afraid, only believe. And he suffered no man to follow him, save Peter and James and John, the brother of James. And he cometh to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and seeing the tumult, and them that wept and wailed greatly. And when he was come in, he saith unto them, Why make ye this ado, and weep? The damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed him to scorn. But when he had put them all out, he taketh the father and the mother of the damsel, and them that were with him, and entereth in where the damsel was lying. And he took the damsel by the hand, and said to her, Talitha cumi, which is being interpreted, Damsel, I say unto thee, arise. And straightway the damsel arose and walked, for she was of the age of 12 years. and they were astonished with great astonishment. And he charged them straitly that no man should know it, and commanded that something should be given her to eat. And he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many hearing him were astonished, saying, From whence hath this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James and Joseph, and of Judah and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. But Jesus said unto them, A prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. And he could there do no mighty work, save that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief. And he went round about the villages teaching. And he called unto him the 12, and began to send them forth by two, two and two, and gave them power over unclean spirits, and commanded them that they should take nothing for their journey, save a staff only, no scrip, no bread, no money in their purse, but be shod with sandals, and not put on 2 coats. And he said unto them, In what place soever ye enter into an house, there abide till ye depart from that place. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear you, when ye depart thence, shake off the dust under your feet, for a testimony against them. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. And they went out and preached that men should repent. And they cast out many devils, and anointed with oil many that were sick, and healed them. And King Herod heard of him, for his name was spread abroad, and he said that John the Baptist was risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him. Remember, John the Baptist got beheaded. He didn't raise from the dead. Others said, That is Elias. Others said that it is a prophet, or one of the prophets. And when Herod heard thereof, he said, It is John, whom I beheaded. He is risen from the dead. For Herod himself had sent forth and laid hold upon John, and bound him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife, for he had married her. For John had said unto Herod, It is not lawful for thee to have thy brother's wife. Therefore Herodias had a quarrel against him, and would have killed him, but she could not. For Herod feared John, knowing that he was a just man and a holy, and observed him. And when he heard him, he did many things, and heard him gladly. And when a convenient day was come, that Herod on his birthday made a supper to his lords, high captains, and chief estates of Galilee, and when the daughter of the said Herodias came in and danced, and pleased Herod and them that sat with him, the king said unto the damsel, Ask of me whatsoever thou wilt, and I will give it to thee. That must have been a good dance she did. And he sware unto her, Whatsoever thou shalt ask of me, I will give it to thee, unto the half of my kingdom. That was a lot he was offering for that dance. And she went forth and said unto her mother, What shall I ask? And her mother said, Ask for the head of John the Baptist. And she came in straightway and haste unto the king and asked, saying, I will that thou give me by and by in a charger the head of John the Baptist. And the king was exceeding sorry, yet for his oath's sake, and for their sakes which sat with him, he would not reject her. And immediately the king sent an executioner and commanded his head to be brought, and he went and beheaded him in the prison, and brought his head in a charger on a platter, and gave it to the damsel, and the damsel gave it to her mother, and and when his disciples heard of it, they came and took up his corpse and laid it in a tomb. And the apostles gathered themselves together unto Jesus and told him all things, both what they had done and what they had taught. And he came unto them and said, Come ye yourselves apart into a desert place and rest a while. For there were many coming and going, and they had no leisure so much as to eat. And they departed into a desert place by ship privately, and the people saw them depart, and many knew him, and ran afoot thither out of all the cities, and out went them, and came together unto him. And Jesus said, when he came out, saw many people, and was moved with compassion toward them, because they were as sheep, not having a shepherd, and began to teach them many things. And when the day was now far spent, his disciples came unto him and said, This is the desert place, and now the time is far past. Send them away, that they may go into the country round about, and into all the villages, and buy themselves bread, for they have nothing to eat. And Jesus answered them and said, Give ye them to eat. And they said unto Jesus, Shall we go and buy 200 pennyworth of bread, and give them to eat? And Jesus said unto them, How many loaves have ye? Go and see. And when they knew, they say, 5 and 2 fishes. 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. And Jesus commanded them to make all sit down by companies upon the green grass. And they sat down in ranks by hundreds and by 50s. And when Jesus had taken the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, he looked up to heaven and blessed, and brake the loaves, and gave them to his disciples to set before them. And the 2 fishes divided he among them all. And they did eat, and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments and of the fishes. And they that did eat of the loaves were about 5,000 men. And straightway he constrained his disciples to get into the ship, and to go to the other side before unto Bethsaida, where he sent away the people. And when he had sent them away, he departed into a mountain to pray. And when evening was come, the ship was in the midst of the sea, and he alone on the land. And he saw them toiling in rowing, for the wind was contrary unto them. And about the 4th watch of the night he cometh unto them, walking upon the sea, and would have passed by them. But when they saw him walking upon the sea, they supposed it had been a spirit, and cried out, for they all saw him and were troubled. And immediately he talked with them, and saith unto them, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And he went up to them into the ship, and the winds ceased, and they were sore amazed in themselves beyond measure, and wondered, for they considered not the miracles of the loaves, for their heart was burdened. And when they had passed over, they came into the land of Gennesaret, and drew to the shore. And when they were come out of the ship, straightway they knew him, and ran through that whole region round about, and began to carry about in beds those that were sick, and where they heard he was. And whithersoever he entered into villages or cities or country, they laid the sick in the streets, and besought him that they might touch, if it were but the border of his garment. And as many as touched him were made whole. Bam, y'all. All right. I don't know where I started, but we just finished chapter 6. And chapter 6 was long. It was 56 verses. So sorry this thing is a little bit longer than normal, but some good stuff there, y'all. Jesus is powerful. He can do anything you want him to do. You got to have a little bit of faith, just a teeny bit of faith. I'll talk to y'all mañana, tomorrow, if the good Lord's willing and we don't get raptured out of here tonight. Y'all pray for my friend's brother-in-law, I think it was, that got murdered today. Pray for the world. This world is so sick. God bless you. Love y'all. And keep my sweet Carly in prayer too. That woman, she's tough. And she has much faith in God, but man, she's going through some stuff. Just pray for everybody. There's a lot of y'all I know needs prayers. And you're all prayed for me, and I think there's several on here praying for all of y'all every day. So just keep it up. I know y'all are prayer warriors, and I'm very blessed to have all y'all. Talk to y'all later, friends.